And yeah, okay. Hello, this is Roundtable Understanding Memetics. Oh, I think you need something to tell, yeah? You're the moderator.
Yeah, I was just gonna read out the class description.
Yeah, okay.
The roundtable proposes a critical philosophy of polymodal discourse, taking memetics not as a subsidiary internet studies phenomenon, but as an epistemological framework for analyzing contemporary culture production. The capacity of memes to destabilize boundaries between aesthetic practice, philosophical intervention, and collective psychic individuation is what makes them worthy of academic research. Memesis offers critical analysis of memes without translating them into the sterilized language of institutions and without fully descending into internet jargon. Falling constantly into the abyss between scientific and artistic communication, memes embody mixed media as artifacts of folk vernacular culture. Their participatory affordance is achieved through polymodal discursive nature. The interdisciplinarity of memetic communication renders it nearly invisible to monomodal discourses, demanding new synthetic discursive instruments. Yeah, do you want, we can start. Arina, am I pronouncing your name right?
Yeah.
Yeah, okay.
Mm. So I'm your instructor, Arina Atik. I'm also a certificate student at the new center. Mm, and I wanted to start while I think maybe one or two participants will join us. I wanted to start with an anecdote. Um, mm, how I knew about the new center. And it's ironic because I knew about them, us, uh, me. I don't know if we are one entity. So I knew about the new center from this meme. I think it's a 10-year-old meme. I think, yeah, it's not. I cannot find the original, but as you can see, the 10th, I don't know, phase, step of this pyramid is the new Center for Research in Practice. But I'm still climbing this ladder because I have much to do to join the Nutsball World Council. I don't know try to um, if you try to search for this picture, you will only find the conspiracy theorists posts on Facebook, or you can. I couldn't find the original one. Um, yeah. What I was going to talk about today, we need to talk about some not that exciting stuff, but I think um, necessary to understand the meme studies. So we need to establish the basic characteristics of memes. I will give a contemporary definition of memes. I will talk about Memetics as utopian methesis universalis. Also, I will at least show you a diagram or a list of methodological approaches to memes. We don't have much time for discussing that, but I think it's important to know. Also, maybe I will be able to talk briefly about memes as folklore of the internet, and the end of this, the first part, will be the distinction between memetics, memology, meme studies, although I need to say that the terminology here is kind of fluid. Some researchers say add here the mimeography, but we will get to that. So about the basic characteristics of memes. I think the most the most popular characteristic. I don't know if it's the first one, the polymodal text, polymodal discourse, or the second one, participatory media, but it's one of them. So the I think it's very obvious that polymodal discourse is something that use several sign language, like pictures with text is already polymodal. But it is interesting because not only pictures with text, but also any visual or sonic or even the gest can be some kind of meme. I won't talk here about the 6-7, but you get me. The participatory characteristics. I know that a lot of researchers are already talking about participatory era, that it is dying, but nonetheless, memes are prime example of participatory media. So it is a media that presuppose active involvement in. So user is not a passive consumer, but they are some kind of accessory for producing content. Here I wanted to ask if anybody looked at the mirror diagram.
I was just looking at it like before the class.
Yeah. I just don't want to go into much details here, but also I think it's important. It's my so 1 second. Do you see the mirror now, or you see just the slide?
Can see the board also if you are zooming out, and can see the slide right now.
Now, do you see it?
Can see the slide where there's meme Dawkins.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, so this diagram is my attempt at categorizing memes. I don't know if it is. No, I know it's not all inclusive, and I got a note from my peer that it seems universal, because here's memes in Dawkinsian way and habitus in Bourdieu, in the sense that Bourdieu meant, and it seems like it's all-encompassing, but it's not. So I just tried to categorize memes by media, I guess. But you see the problem here. I was trying to do the Venn diagram, but I don't know if it is strictly a Venn diagram. Just because maybe I don't know what to do with the text-driven pictures, and how they intersect with all the rest of the pictures. That's the last thing that I was thinking about this diagram. But maybe you have questions about it. Is it clear what I was trying to do here?
I have one question, Arina, about the audio meme bit. And are you sensorially dividing them, or how is it kind of the categorization? How has it been done?
Yeah, I was trying to do the media or by senses, like what is activating if we are talking about participation in meme culture. You need to do something, like you need to speak, you need to use the producer tag, maybe, like you do you know some producer tags? Like the most popular one, it's not a meme one, but the team sesh from Bones, I think. It can be used as a meme. But to answer your question, I think yes, it's it was a kind of on based on census.
Understood. Thank you.
Yeah. Also, here I have two levels of or three levels of definition of memes, depending on the framework. So if we are, I think we need to do that. If we are talking about the memetics in universal way, like Dawkins meant it, memes are unit of imitation, a quantum of cultural information that, like a gene, replicates itself through memesis and imitation. It's a direct quote from the Selfish Gene book. I think you know. I think you know this book. It's the book that the term was introduced in. So if we are talking about meme in Bourdieu's sense, in a sense that they form our habitus, it is a system of transposable disposition, schemes of perception, thought, and action, which is structure in structure, externally shapes our understanding of ourselves and the world, and is simultaneously internalized and reproduced through our practices. And this this is some kind of contemporary definition of meme, but we will get to it in a second. So we can say that in contemporary research, memes are characterized as heavily remixed media artifacts, were distributed multiple times by different participants in social network with intent of making parody, satire, criticism, or perform any other discursive activity. Yeah, that's it from this diagram. So the main thing with meme, and I think that was the point of Dawkins, that memes are part of information that we transmit. So information, I think, breeds ideas, and ideas form behavior, and behavior leaves artifacts. I stole this citation from some kind of introductory article, but I think it's important because they have these three levels: ideas, behavior, artifacts. That is important to understand the practice, and it will be important for the second session when we will talk about Simondonian process ontology. Here is a somewhat scientific diagram by Seong Yang He. It's a meme researcher. I think I don't speak for all of meme researchers, but I think it's one of the most popular one. And she did a lot of other prominent media artifacts. You will see. What is depicted here? The philomemetic tree of internet memes.
Arina,
Sorry, I think. Oh, yeah. You say you're showing us like something from this person, but I think
Yeah. Oh,
I'm not the
sorry.
only one. Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. Now you see.
yes.
Sorry. So the the tree of internet memes. We have the simple old times traditionalists metaphor of memes as genes. Not in that advertisement. Okay, so when we have then we have the somewhat neo-traditionalist way of describing memes as vessels. We have the proto-ironic memes as tropes, ironic memes as concepts, and I don't quite understand what does the pre-ironic memes as object means, but okay. I think the most interesting here is the post-ironic and meta-ironic. Post-ironic memes as functions and meta-ironic memes used as, can be viewed as events. I have a legend for this diagram, but I don't think that we need to really discuss it for now, but you will have the presentation. You can read more thoroughly about this diagram. It has the definitions of almost all the terms that I used in this diagram. So as I already said, the contemporary definition of memes is that they are heavily mixed media artifacts. And the main intent is to depart from the humor part. I think we can say that it is any discursive activity, because memes, as we saw in my diagram, is not always funny pictures. They maybe not pictures at all. So now I want to talk about the utopian Memesis universalis and how memetics relate to it. Memesis universalis is matrisos from Greek and universalis from Latin. In a narrow sense, it is equivalent with the mathematical universalis, so the universal science that is based on math. But I think we need to talk about the more broader sense. In a broader sense, Mathesis Universalis is a project of unification of philosophy. It may be on the basis of mathematics, but also if we are talking about European modern philosophy, we can say that it can be positioned as a core of Galilean science and a matrix of Descartes' metaphysics, or regulatory guidelines of the political doctrines of Hobbes and Locke. Do you understand why I put this meme here?
I don't know if I understand it, but I find it funny.
But you what?
I find it funny.
Yeah, thanks. I think Descartes is the one of the most prominent philosophers. Is rightly described as the beginner or like the foundation of modern philosophy, but also there are some parts of his methods and overall metaphysical system that can be viewed as somewhat naive, I think. But if if I need to describe this meme, I would say that Descartes thinks that he uh, resolve all the problems, but then in reality he does not. Like in a nutshell.
And I guess it's also interesting how like that on its own could be kind of a template for almost any philosophical framework.
Yeah, of course. Yeah, of course. There was another one like the. It's a popular theme in I think in PhD memes pages that are devoted to this kind of memes. Like you have the project, something that you propose, your proposal, and the real text. Like maybe. But the main thing with the Memesis Universalis um, are two goals. What are the main goals? As this universal Memetics as this universal science, it is constructing the universal theory of information, which I think we can say that take roots in Popper's evolutionary epistemology. The second goal is methodological unification of humanities and science. Um, the peak of interest to this kind of memetic fall on the end, beginning on the end of 20th and beginning of the 21st century. I think you know about Dawkins and Dennett. Also, there is an 80s paper by Hofstadter that is some kind related to the memes, but it's not very clear what he is saying there because I read it several times. It's also interesting that there was a journal of memetics. This is the page that is still up, I think. Yeah, and this journal was publishing from 1997 to 2005, 2005. What is Dawkins saying? He says that there can be a molecule on another planet, but we have the meme on this planet. So it's kind of I don't know, metaphor or not, a figure of speech, I think, even. If you really read the selfish gene, Dawkins is not that sure about the term he is using, and he gives different variations of it, like different variation of etymology for this term. So the main one is, of course, memesis, like something that copies the processors. Then he is talking about the French, like I don't know. And he also talks about the memory. I think a lot of people think that memes some kind of correlate with the memory, but for a lot of time I was thinking that it is not. It is wrong to say that memes can be related as a term. Memes, a term, is related to memory, but Dawkins says it because he just freeballing it, and it's not that he's not really. He really just coined the term, and the popularization and the conceptualization was mostly on the Dennett's part. Um, I think it's also interesting that as something that was written in the 70s, Dawkins already said that the computers in which memes live are human brains. It's funny also that he says about, as he is talking about the computers, he is saying about the floppy disk, like it's very convenient and can be transmittable. But he was kind of right without the floppy disk. Here's, I think, somewhat popular meme about this methodological viewpoint. Like if you see this is the brain progression, yeah, the cosmic brain, I think, galactic brain is it's called. But for me, it's not that convincing, and also converge memetic and memological, which means that something that is, I think, I'm using this term memological as some kind of vernacular, and memetic as some kind of more scientific. So it's not quite clear what was the message here beside the evolutionary metaphor of the virus that was also talked about by Dennett. I think it would be more fun. It would be funnier if this picture had like here, like the most galactic brain with the memes are those funny pictures, right? Like to make it circular. And now I want to briefly talk about the different approaches.
I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Could you
Here?
could you go back? Yes. Um, I don't think I quite understand what you mean by this meme not being very convincing. What is what criteria do you use?
Because this meme seems like it is talking about different approaches to I think it's propaganda of a particular methodology. That's why maybe it's not that it's not convincing, but it's not what I think. But it's trying to convince me that the most enlightened position about memes, that memes are living entity, and I don't know if it is if it is the case, because I think that it's my recent in my recent thoughts I was thinking about that how should we how should we treat this in evolutionist metaphor, is it really helpful? And I think that it is somewhat helpful, but a lot of times, and even that hardcore philosopher like Dennett and Dawkins, as a scientist, talks about memes like they have some kind of agency, like they want something, um, they do something, they strive to do something. So, but I think um, for some time I thought that it is entirely wrong and we need to just go beyond Dawkins and that's it. But now I think that his initial metaphor, like the virus metaphor, his and Dennett's metaphor, that memes are viruses, can be. Can be useful, but it's understood. It's not. It's I think understood not in a proper way. Like if we are talking about the virus does not transmit by itself, and it needs some mediation. And I think the virality and all that language is embedded in our critical thinking about the online sphere now. Even if we are not talking about memes or Dawkins, we are always talking about the virality of images of your content and how you can make something viral. Yeah. But the virus is not something that is even alive if it's not in some kind of milieu. So I think it's important to talk about not that something is just information is spreading like wildfire. No, it's not. We are the ones spreading it. I don't know if it's clear. Yeah.
Yeah. Also, like one meta question. Like maybe you prefer just to show us your presentation and then we can like make questions and comments, or is it okay that we?
Yeah, it's okay. It's okay to talk. Yeah.
Okay. Then it's really interesting what you're saying. Like this picture, then like also seeing like why. What do you mean by saying that is not convincing? It makes me think of like the other meme template of the Gauss bell, which subverts this structure because like very simplified, it would like go back to the first level of memes are those funny pictures, right? And also I think I'm thinking out loud. It's really interesting that it's like a technique that is literally used in like analysis of phenomena like viruses. Like it's just like the natural, whatever that means, like distribution of viral vectors. Yeah, I don't even know where I'm going with this. I just thought it's like,
okay, it's interesting. I think we if you have something, we can discuss it maybe later. But thank you. I think we need to go to the next part. If nobody have questions. I wanted to talk about the methodological approaches to memes, and here we have also the mirror. Oh, I already opened it. Do you see the mirror?
Yes.
I was trying to make a list of everything I can thought of that can be used as a method for analyzing memes. So I started with memetic and genetics, And in this case, the meme can be called instrument of adaptation, informational virus, or maybe idea. Or then I have semiotics, then memes are signs, a complex of signs, hermeneutics, object of understanding, logic, proposition. Philology is an interesting one because I think a lot of methodological work was done in this sphere. I think of analyzing memes. So we can say that meme is a trope, meme is a polymodal discourse, or maybe it's sterilized text, whatever. They have a lot of words for that, and I'm really amazed every time that I open a philological article because they um, actively trying to not to use the meme word, like they fear this word. I don't know why. So if we're talking about theory of communication, obviously memes are means of communication. There is also a viewpoint that memes can be viewed as a speech act. From the politology point of view, we can say that memes are instruments of propaganda, or it is instrument for exchanging values. Also, it can be defined as information-related capabilities. This thing I found in Department of Defense official document from, I think, 2013. Yeah, 2013 maybe. About, in a nutshell, about PSYOPs, but they were calling them informational operations. And this is, I think, it is an interesting document. I can share it with you. It was about. It is very cryptic and using a lot of abbreviation to for people to not understand it, but it's quite unsettling. Yeah, from the sociological point of view, we can say that memes can build identity. It's an instrument for building identity. It can mirror the social continuum, like something that is happening is, oftentimes said in memes and delivered a lot of information delivered to you through memes. It also can be seen as a community building instrument. So the folkloristic approach. From this point of view, we can say that memes are folknet, part of vernacular, folk art in internet, or maybe it's a post-folklore. We will get to that when we will talk about folkloristic. I will talk just about folkloristic, just for the example, not to bore you too much. The economy thing, yeah, we know that there is a meme coin. There is a meme coin as a phenomenon. Also, it can be said that meme and online aesthetics is an instrument of commodification, any aesthetic. Also, we can say from the copyright law that meme is an exclusive token. Here I just kind of free bullet. Psychology is memes are copium. I don't think that it is done. Maybe I should put another definitions from the psychology point of view. From the aesthetic point of view, we can say that, of course, memes are aesthetic objects. They can be a piece of contemporary art, or maybe if we say that it is all-encompassing internet object, it can be maybe called Gesamtkunstwerk. Also, aesthetic as a core, like what we will do then the course run out. I don't know. Yeah. Maybe you have questions?
I had a question in regards to folklore. So, if we were to think of memes having already been existed since ancient times, then with the cave paintings, all sorts of the rock art, any carvings that have been done, then can they be viewed as memes of that time?
Yeah, there is a very funny and very, I don't know, some kind of history. Look, there is a video for like an hour, the cat memes history. And I think it is a girl. The author, don't mind. The author really tries to see all the history to the cave paintings. And it is interesting that there is, I don't remember which valley, but some kind of thing, Turkish valley, maybe. There were not the cave, but stone pictures of two cats fighting, and there were two in the one valley. So it is already can be said that it is copied within not much space. So it will be a stretch, of course, and I think it is. It can be said that cave paintings are memes, but it will be in the most broad way, in the most, I think, in a way that Dawkins was thinking about them. Like any cultural unit is a meme. Then, of course, the cave paintings are memes.
So it's not necessarily limited to internet culture, or
Yeah,
it's
of
not
course.
limited
Yeah.
to, it can go beyond that as well.
Yeah, the initial memetic approach consider memes everything is a meme. So they were not talking about the internet culture. It's a coincidence. I don't know if it's a coincidence or it's a fluctuation of the using of terms, because Dawkins really didn't. Not that he did not think about it, but he did not acknowledge the meme culture really. But yeah, of course, we can say that everything is a meme. And Dawkins says that like the viral song is a meme. Then it says that idea of God is a meme. But I don't know, why do we need another term when we have like idea or concept? Like I don't know why it's must be called meme. Also, I think it is because of precisely that thing that we discussed earlier about agency of memes. Like the memetic, the most interesting thing about it is the pragmatic side of memes, like why and how they how we use it and how it is used in communication and how we can amplify this transmitting. But I don't know if it is if the agency is there. Okay, maybe we can go further. I wanted to give an example of an approach, and I chose the folkloristic as the most, I think, the most old one, the oldest one, and maybe one of the most common. I have suggested reading here. You can really, I'm basing this part on this article. It's very interesting. Digital Folklore by Seta. Also, there is an introductory article if you want to read something not basic, but about the more abstract and definition of meme. So the lore, like maybe you saw because the News Center account on Instagram reposted that meme of I think Babaka. Do you know? Have you seen it?
No, do you have a link to it or something?
Yeah, I have the meme. Maybe I can 1 second. I can. I think I can send it to you in WhatsApp. 1 second. Because I think it's related. It's a screenshot. I'm sorry, it's not that good of quality, but here it is. Can you see it?
Yes. I'm gonna share it here in the chat as well.
Yeah, okay, thank you. Like to the right side where is beside the backroom screenshot there's internet lore. Lore it is a frequently used term in last I think times. I don't know why it sounds cool maybe. Yeah, but this babaka, it's some kind of meme researcher. Says that it is very cliche to think about the lore of internet, but we will still do that. Memes can be described as digital folklore, and that is that the folklore they are the folklore of the internet. So this vernacular emerging from below and the folk art that is created by users. Do you understand the term vernacular?
Yes. So
Yeah.
belonging of a certain region or being very niche to a certain cultural region.
Yeah, but I think it's interesting with the internet that vernacular, it's of course it's local, but when you say it about the internet, the vernacular, it's all anything on the internet can become a part of this vernacular. So it's local and global at the same time. I think it's interesting to note. So the folklorist's approach. We can say in the classical way that we just apply classical folkloristics in internet. So we just see here technically mediated folklore, and we can try to answer to the crisis of classical folkloristic by changing the subject. It's interesting that the term vernacular web was coined by Robert Glenn Howard, the folklorist researcher. And the term vernacular, in light of the new affordances offered by participatory media, he was talking about it. Okay, you see it. The second approach within folkloristic can be called vernacular creativity, and it is focused on local creative practices in the internet space, their participatory quality, the cultural production as the part of everyday life, the hybridity of form, and the vernacular criticism, like meme functions as instrument of criticism. Also, it can be noted that the word vernacular was formulated by Margaret Lantis. So we have the vernacular by Margaret Lantis, and we have vernacular web by Glenn Howard. As you can see, it is from the 60s. So memetics is not that young of a science as a lot of people think. So also we can say that memes are digital folk art, not the other way around. That digital folk art, everything on the internet that is digital folk art can be called memes. This approach focuses on amateur content and which is created by users, and aesthetic trash, kitsch, and etc. as a research object. I think you saw this four-part diagram with the content. I think it's random. I don't know. Maybe I'm getting old, but I don't know what periodization of what even is this periodization. Why Hegel phenomenology of spirit is in a hyper era. I get only the cute era because the cute exorcism. Yeah, but I don't know. Like Hegel was not invented in 2020, but I think it's relevant here because it's some kind of vernacular knowledge, maybe information, some kind of vernacular artifact. Someone trying to research online culture. But in this approach, we can say that ACS can be viewed as a pixel patchwork, like this planet or satellite. This is just examples. something that we can call, we can view through this approach. Maybe kind of vaporwave aesthetic, I don't know. But the vaporwave is something that was made. That's the vaporwave aesthetic is very online culture. So what we can say also here, there's a book, quite recent book by Italian author Tani, Memestetica. It is talking about memes and aesthetical problems, and Tani says talks about aesthetic experimentation. And also she talks about the poor image, an image in motion that keeps deteriorating as it is copied and pasted, downloaded and re-uploaded, remixed, edited. Like this Chinese reaction images. They were smuggled across the Kazakh border, hidden in a zip bag stashed in the gas tank. I don't know. Yeah, and the most important for us approach within folkloristic is I don't. Maybe in a structural way, it's not that correct, not the correct way, but okay. But the author of the article speaks about it also. One of the prominent researcher paper is this Memesis meme in digital culture by Oliver Schiffman. And what is important for this book is that memes are analyzed as operative science. Also, Schiffman talks about humor hubs, like the patterns, the paths of memes as fluxes of information. And from this point of view, we can say, and I have already said that the meme can be designated the all-encompassing digital object status. The meme, as she maintains, remains the best concept to encapsulate some of the most fundamental aspects of the internet in general and of the so-called participatory web of 2.0. I've already seen web 3 and web like 2, but not 2 like in math. I don't know. I don't know the difference. I don't understand it because everything that is talked about as a feature of Web3 is already here, and it's not Web3.
Arina, in this slide, a collective desire for commiseration towards me means what? I don't understand that part.
Which part? The aerial banger?
Yeah, like it kind of leading up to a collective desire. Is it like whoever's putting out the memes, they are desiring something out of it, or this sense of understanding, or what is it referring to?
I think this diagram is also a meme. It's not from some kind of scientific article. I just found it on the internet. And what the author means by this, I think that if it is relatable, if it is, if the meme have not that meme have this desire, but that meme expresses this desire that is relevant to a lot of people, it will be a real banger. Yeah, I think something along that lines. I don't. Yeah, as I already said, it's a meme. It's not a really scientific diagram. It's interesting to talk about to talk about this kind of memes that are meta and trying to be something. But it's for the second session. Yeah, maybe questions. I think we need to talk about the Kierkegaard and the Deleuze texts. I think we don't have that much time. No questions.
I have a question. I think it relates to what you were just saying about the effect of a real banger and how before you were showing a diagram where you say that you were not so sure about this copium definition of the psychological.
Yeah.
I just had to Google that word. I didn't know it existed. Well, you say that you were not sure, so I guess that it's an ongoing question. But I would like to know why is it a question? Why are you not so sure about it? And then, yeah, maybe it has to do with this meme and how that effective effective realm is produced.
Of course, copium is a slang term. I just think it's funny, but it means that I think as a lot of recent slang, it came from the Lux Maxing sphere, eidetic sphere of Lux Maxers, that you cope with something that you can change. Like someone is more bad, someone is mugging you. I'm sorry for using this language, but somebody is mugging you. Like somebody is more buff than you, more pretty, get more girls. Like I don't know what's the point of looks maxing. And you have to cope with it. So copium is something that you use to channel your frustration, maybe. And yeah, you catch that connection with a real banger. I think it needs to be some kind of it needs to be in some way therapeutic, like to help us cope with something. Also, I understand that memes can be different, and some meme culture, some parts of meme culture are not about the therapeutic part, therapeutic function, but opposite. Yeah, I was not sure because copium, even if I say just the coping mechanism, it's only one of the psychological function that can be seen in memes. Okay, let's talk about. Can you give me 1 second? Sorry. Yeah. So to finish this part, I want to say about the distinction between memetics, memology, and meme studies. We can say that, and we understood already, that memetics is a discipline that claims to be universal. I don't know if it reaches that goal. Memology can be called the so-called lore of the internet. So it's a vernacular knowledge. It's a citizen knowledge, like users' knowledge. Yeah. Um, and meme studies, it's a new term, not to. I think it is used just to be different from the memetics, as it is. The Seong-Kyun-Her that I already mentioned talks about memetics, memeology, and memeography. I don't know about these terms. If they don't feel right. And the definition of memeology is not, I think, this as soft science is not quite right. I think it's in and I think it's important for us and for any researcher to use this so-called soft science when we are researching, because a lot of times this part is absent from the um, from the it's absent in academic research. And memeography, I don't even know. I just thought that I need to show you that there are some variants, but I don't know if this works for me. Okay, I wanted to ask if you understand the problem and the difference between memetics, memology, and meme studies, because I think it's quite important to really understand. Yeah.
Kind of. It's. Could I paraphrase it? Would that be
Yeah, of
okay?
course. Yeah, of course.
Through memology, I understand that there is a certain layer of citizen science attached to it, where
Yeah.
you are looking at these different pieces of memes as a collective activity or a collective
Hmm.
thought system within itself.
Yeah.
Studies is more, understanding why those systems exist or how are they evolving, or how are they interconnected to each other. Memetics, I'm still a little bit confused about.
What are you confused about?
It's universal in terms of what? Like, is it containing this vernacular knowledge and the studies of it, or is it,
No,
you
no. It's universal not in the realm of memes, it's just universal. It's universal in the striving to be like evolutionary science of information. So um, we can strip down it to the bare mathematics, to the bare statistics and the combination of digits of signs. Uh,
got it?
it's the memetics is still alive. Somebody really, somebody, some are trying to analyze an enormous amount of memes with, of course, the LLMs. But in in a sense that, in a more human sense, it's not that popular now.
And would it be accurate to say that the main difference between memetics and memology, rather than methodological, is at the level of the definition of what a meme is? Like, as I understand it, but I might be wrong, like memetics starts from, like, one of its premises is a definition of memes in the broader sense that enables it to appeal to some sort of universality, while memology starts from a definition of meme that it's quite the intuitive meaning that meme has acquired.
Yeah, I think you're right. Also, I think that we can say that the meme studies is oftentimes analyze memes in a very narrow approach. So I think we need some kind of mix of all of this, because a lot of contemporary articles and even books about memes are just choosing an approach, choosing the aspect they want to talk about, and doesn't make methodological or abstract points. Like they only analyze it from the political side, they only analyze it from the aesthetic side, and so on. So it's in some way it's opposite to memetics, because it's very narrow. Yeah, we really need to go to the Kierkegaard part. So this is the end of the part one. The part two, I think we will talk only about Kierkegaard and maybe Deleuze if we are lucky today, and the rest is for the second session. But I also wanted to talk about the main problems of philosophy of humor. What are they? They are the first one is, of course, ontological status of humor and irony, and that is precisely what Kierkegaard will talk about. That is function of humor in the process of knowledge. Kierkegaard also will talk about that, and it is the cognitive mechanism of humor. I don't think that we would be able to talk about it, sadly. But yeah, we can say that memes are instruments of knowledge. But what are their functions? Their functions, in my opinion, are understanding, critique, and creation. So with a meme as an instrument, you can understand something, you can critique something, or you can create something new. Okay, and now I wanted to talk about the master degree of Kierkegaard, because on the concept of irony was defended as his master thesis. In his work, Kierkegaard is talking about irony as a part of philosophy of history. So it is something that is the middle between concrete actuality and idea or historical moment in dialectical development. What and then we have a lot of text by Kierkegaard here, and so on. The word actuality, however, must here primarily be understood as historical actuality, that is, the given actuality at a certain time and a certain situation. This word can be understood metaphysically, for example, as it used when one treats metaphysical issue of the relation of the idea to actuality. Whether there is no question of this actuality, but of the idea's concretion, that is, its actuality, and the word actuality can also be used for a historically actualized idea. The latter actuality is different at different times. By this, it is in no way meant that in the sum total of its existence, the historical actuality is not supposed to have an eternal and intrinsic coherence, but for different generations separated by time and space, the given actuality is different. It's very. It sounds the last thought sounds very banal, but I think it's interesting in a way that meme in a way that generation became meme, because I don't know if we can really distinguish precisely all the generation, or even in the last 100 years, because we are trying to do that, and then we have found that there is zillennials, there is I don't know, zillennials, zoom alphas, I don't know. I know, oh, I only know the zillennial one. But I think as I first as I first read on the concept of irony, it was quite striking for me that he was talking about these generations, and it clicked like this memes about generations. Now maybe they make more sense for me. Do you understand what I'm getting at?
Is it the temporality of it, of that being a certain meme? Like, memes change from one generation to another,
Yeah.
and then, the actuality of that meme is challenged by both generations in different ways.
Also, the right and the upper right one, I think it's a good example of something that is questioned. Yes, but also the even the attributing someone to some generation can be challenged. Like, you can be called a boomer because because of anything.
So because of a certain way in which the behavior is happening, that meme kind of transfers on to you.
Maybe, yeah. My main point here is that we have, and I think it's obvious that we have the different generation have different actuality, and that this mimification of generations, like a concept of generation is hijacked by a meme culture. And I think it's interesting here that the irony is in some ways, the irony is not in some ways, in a major way, it is a It is a historical term. It can be described within philosophy of history.
I don't know if it informs this in any way, but what you just said like immediately made me think of Marx's phrase, right? Like history repeats twice versus tragedy, then as farce.
Yeah.
I just find it like, yeah. I don't even know if I have a thought attached to that comment. I'm sorry.
Okay, no, it's okay. So the main thing with Kierkegaard is that we have actuality, we have idea, and actuality is not ideal, of course, and that's where the irony steps in. But I think about the more generic historical part. I need to say that I need to say this. At any such turning point in history, two movements must be noted. On the one hand, the new must forge ahead, and on the other, the old must be displaced. It's all the direct citation from the work. So I think it's obvious. What does that mean? And in this process of dialectical process of forging something new and forgetting something old, we have a few types of figures that can be described by the relation to the new and the old. So the prophetic individual, he must forge ahead. Prophetic individual who spies the new in the distance, in dim and undefined contours. The prophetic individual does not possess the future. He has only a presentiment of it. The second figure is the tragic hero. He battles for the new and strives to destroy what for him is a vanishing actuality. But this text is still not so much to destroy as to advance the new and thereby destroy the past indirectly. And the most interesting for us, the ironic subject. Ironic subject. For the ironic subject, the given actuality has lost its validity entirely. It has become for him an imperfect form that is a hindrance everywhere. But on the other hand, he does not possess the new. He knows only that the present does not match the idea. He is the one who must pass judgment. The prophet walks arm in arm with his age, and from this position he glimpses what is coming. The prophet, as was noted above, is lost to his generation, but essentially that is the case only because he is preoccupied with his visions. The ironist, however, has stepped out of line with his age, has turned around and faced it. That which is coming is hidden from him, lies behind his back, but the actuality he so antagonistically confronts is what he must destroy. Upon this he focuses his burning gaze. So the destroyer of the world's ironic subject. Irony for Kierkegaard is a qualification of subjectivity. In irony, the subject is negatively free, since the actuality that is supposed to give the subject content is not there. He is free from the constraint in which the given actuality holds the subject, but he is negatively free, and it is such is suspended because there is nothing that holds him. So the destruction not only of the world but also of yourself. This very freedom, this suspension, gives the ironist a certain enthusiasm because he becomes intoxicated, so to speak, in the infinity of possibilities, and if he needs any consolation for everything that is destroyed, he can have recourse to the enormous reserve fund of possibilities. So if you critique, you does not add anything. Not that the critique is futile in any sense, but we'll get to that. The ironist does not have the new in his power. You might ask, how then does he destroys the old? And the answer to that must be, he destroys the given actuality by the given actuality itself. But it should be remembered, nevertheless, that the new principle is present within him as possibility. So the important part here is that actuality is destroyed with actuality itself. But destroying actuality by means of actuality itself, he enlists in the service of world irony. I don't know if you read the whole paper, but Kierkegaard is also talking about Hegel's understanding of irony and disputes with it. And I think it can be said that this world irony can be in some way related to the world spirit, as in Hegel philosophy. I think it's interesting question to maybe discuss if you read the paper.
I haven't read the paper, but could we kind of discuss the question anyways?
Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I can see like this sense of, and it was also in one of the earlier memes, where this sense of a liminal space was coming in again and again, like being in between the spaces or like the possibility of actuality. That I found interesting, where it's kind of in between that space of breaking something and going towards something new. That space is kind of being brought into picture.
Yeah.
Yeah, those would be my thoughts on it right
now. What I mean, thank you. But what I mean here is that this some kind of world irony can be seen as a world spirit in that it is dialectical, firstly, and second, it is something that you cannot protest. You will be I haven't read the this one, but I think it's maybe I need to. Even though the world spirit in any process is continually in itself, this is not the case with a generation at a certain time and a given individuals at a certain time in the same generation. For them, a given actuality does not present itself as something that they are able to reject, because the world process leads the person who is willing to go along and sweeps the unwilling one along with it. So it's something that we cannot control. We only can submit to it, or we will go unwillingly. Yeah. Does that make sense?
It does. That really clears it, because it's probably not the liminality that was there. It was more this state of being in flux. It's more like the fluxus way of being, where it's kind of, you let go of that level of control and it's evolving whether you want to actually partake in it or not.
Yeah. It doesn't matter if you want it or not. Yeah. So I was trying to maybe position the tragic, the prophet, and the ironic figure on this, I don't know, meme diagram. I don't know if it is if it is possible, but
So
it is it.
What are the terms that you're attaching to each?
I wanted to try to attach the three figures that Kierkegaard is listing, like the prophet figure, the tragic hero, and the ironic figure on this diagram. But I deleted it because it may be confusing. As I Yeah.
So the tragic figure would have been meta-irony.
Maybe.
Sincerity would have been the prophet.
Yeah, sincerity, yeah, of course, the prophet. But the tragic hero is meta-ironic, you think? I think he is post-ironic. Because, and maybe before we speak about the definition of these terms, but post-irony is something that stylistically is it's stylistically ironic, but you mean it, yeah? But in meta-irony, the intent is not clear. So I think maybe we can say that sincerity is a prophet, post-irony is a tragic hero, and irony and meta-irony is ironic figure. Because it's about the possibilities, the not certain and not certainty. Yeah. So, as we are talking about the ironic figure, the most notable one for Kierkegaard is Socrates, and also John the Baptist. Why? Because the ironist always has No, not why. It's not the answer. But the irony has to posit something, but what he posits in this way is nothing. And here is the most important part about about this work and more relevant to. It's not relevant. It's just so abstract. That it can be used, and I think it need to be in our view that irony is talking about something then you mean nothing. You kind of saying something, but you're not saying something. But then it is impossible to be earnest about nothing without either arriving at something. This happens if one becomes speculatively earnest about it, or despairing if one takes it personally in earnest. But the ironist does neither, and thus he can also say that he is not in earnest about it. So it will be a split of tongue about the earnestness and the irony of it. But I think that this analysis of Socrates' irony is very relevant to for today's appliance of irony, because it is earnest and it is not earnest. And if we are not talking about all the layers now of irony, we will talk about it later. But just the irony. The irony is something and it is nothing. And also it can destroy you as it has destroyed Socrates, in Kierkegaard's opinion. And we all know how Socrates died. So maybe Kierkegaard is kind of right that that this stance of Socrates that he doesn't know anything is something not that viable. What he says, if the similarity is based particularly on the circumstance that Socrates always introduced his inquiry with the declaration that he knew nothing in order to disgrace the sophist, then the outcome of this conduct is always something negative and without any scientific scholarly conclusion. In that case, Socrates protesting that he knew nothing is a given in dead earnest and consequently is not ironic. So if he just not knowledgeable and don't know anything, it's not an irony, yeah? But it's not the case, obviously. If his knowledge, Socrates' knowledge, had been a knowledge of something, his ignorance would merely have been a conversational technique. His irony, however, was complete in itself, inasmuch then as his ignorance was simultaneously earnest and yet again non-earnest. It is on this prong Socrates must be held. To know that that one is ignorant is the beginning of coming to know. But one does not know more if it is merely a beginning. This knowledge was what kept Socrates ironically afloat. So then Kierkegaard critiques Hegel's point of view. He says that Hegel then points out that this Socratic irony seems to contain something false, but thereupon shows the correctness of his conduct. Finally, he shows the real meaning of Socrates' irony, the greatness in it, namely that it seeks to make abstract conception concrete and developed. Maybe we need to pause here and I want to ask you if you understand what is the main paradox of Socratic figure and Socratic irony in Kierkegaard's view.
Well, I don't know if I fully understand what Kierkegaard is saying, but reading it, it made me think of a text by maybe some of you have read it. I read it really long ago, but it made me think about it a lot. Sloterdijk's critique of cynical reason, and yeah, I think it's interesting. Maybe like some of the deadlocks, or at least like I was like finding some deadlocks when you think about this tripartite distinction of prophet, ironic subject, and tragic subject, when they are articulated around the problem of earnestness. That's how you say.
Yeah.
Yeah, because I think that well, I don't know if you know the book by Sloterdijk, but I think he makes a really good point about how what Kierkegaard would label as this absolute negativity that it's this ironic like disempowerment of the Socratic position is on one level, yes, related to sincerity and earnestness, but also in the contemporary condition, the cynical subject as the one that understands by means of an enlightenment reason that nothing really makes sense, is not having a deficit of understanding or earnestness. They mean what they say, just that what they say is completely devoid of meaning. So I don't know. I think it's an interesting line.
No, the connection here is this. Like, if we are talking about the critique, or we can talk about critique in a broad sense. Anything that is trying to critique some kind of contemporary phenomenon, yeah? For Kierkegaard, irony is in itself critical. So when we are critical, we are in some way ironic. I think we can say that. But if you only critique, you have nothing to stand on. That's it in a nutshell. But it's interesting. I haven't read the Sloterdijk's book, but I'm torn about the Sloterdijk figure. I don't know. Do you know that the David Foster Wallace thought he hate him? I don't know why.
I mean, there are lots of. He is an old German like grandpa. Of course, there are reasons to hate.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think it's interesting because like I guess it doesn't solve anything, but like it just adds another layer where there is like the problem of the level of like how do you like ground the position from which you are developing an ironic or humorous technique, and whether you can build something on it or not, or it's like the pure negativity, absolute negativity of critique. That is one thing. But then also I think it's interesting that Sloterdijk also says, like, even before asking about the foundations or the standpoint, or how grounded that position is from which that Hieronic technique is being deployed, the very technique, the way it's being used already can lead you in two very different directions. Like even before thinking about the foundations, and then like whether
which are
well, he said cynicism, and I don't know, like in English, I read it in Spanish. But in English, I think it's like cynic. What he means, like just like the
Socrates school.
Diogenes.
Mm.
Diogenes, he says that I don't know if it's true, but I think that in his book he says that Plato described Diogenes as a Socrates gone mad.
Mm.
And he makes the distinction about, again, like not how firm the foundations are from the standpoint of the subject's irony, but its relation to their bodily existence, which I guess that could be said that it's some sort of foundation, like just smuggling back foundations. But like
I think, thank you. I think it's interesting that, I find Kierkegaard surprisingly relevant for the meme culture and for internet today. And I think it's important to say that the level of nuances that you bring in your critique does not make it something. It is still nothing. It does not do a lot. It just critiquing and trying to I think in example, I think it's it is known that curatorial studies was the curator as a profession was a rebel against the institutional critique and all that stuff. But then they also become that, maybe not that illustrative example, but now curation and curatorial studies are also some kind of institution. I understood that maybe I'm contradicting myself here. But the thing is, I think it's important to note about the abstract and concrete. Like for Kierkegaard, Socratic irony is something that that makes something abstract concrete. I don't know. I think, and Kierkegaard also thinks that Hegel is not right here because it's all other way around. Like, if you read any of Plato's dialogue, you can say that he and all the characters are talking about something concrete and trying to seek something abstract. So I don't know if Hegel was right about Socratic irony, and he seems to reject it. Also, but on the other base, as Kierkegaard. What is what we can say about this earnest irony thing? What Kierkegaard says. Therefore, we can say of irony that it is earnestness about nothing, insofar as it is not earnest about something. It is continually conceived of nothing in contrast to something, and in order to free itself of earnestness about anything, it grasps the nothing. But it does not become earnestness about nothing either, except insofar as it is not earnestness about anything. I think this passage is particularly relevant to all the ironic layering stuff, when you're earnest and not earnest, and all the spider web of vernacular terms that we can use here. But as some quite annoying YouTuber said, that all this is dialectic for teens, for cool kids, or I don't know. Yeah. Irony is something that is free from the world. It knows it has the power to start all over again if it so pleases. Anything that happened before is not binding, and just as irony in infinite freedom enjoys its critical gratification in the theoretical realm, so it enjoys in the realm of practice a similar divine freedom that knows no bounds, no chains, but plays with the abandon and unrestrained, gambles like a leviathan in the sea. Yeah, Kierkegaard is very metaphorical, I think, poetic. He's poetic, yeah. Yeah. To finish, we can say that Kierkegaard, and I already said that his work is important for us because he is addressing epistemic and ontological value of irony, mostly ontological value. But I also wanted to talk about Kierkegaard and critique. As I already said, the irony is critical for him. But actuality, historical actuality, stands in a twofold relation to the subject, partly as a gift that refuses to be rejected, partly as a task that wants to be fulfilled. Irony, misrelation to actuality, is already sufficiently intimated by the essentially critical stance of irony. Then there's some names, not that important to know the context. Both his philosopher Schlegel and its poetic are critical. Thus, the seventh day is used not to rest from the historical work, but to criticize. I think it's quite a burn on them. I don't know if you feel that. Like they need to like I think it's an equivalent of honey not now, somebody is not right on the internet. Do you know the meme? Like from I think it's from Sims, where the baby is on fire and the girl is sitting at the desk in front of her computer, typing something furiously. So it's, I think, how Schlegel and Atik look. Kierkegaard thinks that what doubt is to science, irony to personal life. Just as scientists maintain that there is no true science without doubt, so it may be maintained with the same right that no genuinely human life is possible without irony. As soon as irony is controlled is the key word here, it makes a movement opposite to that in which uncontrolled irony declares its life. Irony limits, finitizes, and circumscribes, and thereby yields truth, actuality, content. It disciplines and punishes, and thereby yields balance and consistency. Irony, as a disciplinarian feared only by those who don't know it, but loved by those who do. And this also a very poetic passage. Anyone who does not understand irony at all, who has no ear for its whispering, lacks ellipse what could be called the absolute beginning of personal life. He lacks what momentarily is indispensable for personal life. He lacks the bath of regeneration and rejuvenation, irony's baptism of purification that rescues the soul from having its life in finitude, even though it is living energetically and robustly in it. So yeah, we need to somehow control the irony, but we also need the irony because it's a fresh air that we need. Kierkegaard thinks that the base of this, the real base, the fundamental part of irony or ironic hero is boredom. Boredom is the only continuity the ironist has. Boredom, this eternity devoid of content, this salvation devoid of joy, this superficial profundity, this hungry glut. I like the phrase in superficial profundity. It can be a lot of today's writing can be called superficial profundity. Yeah. For an ironist hero, it is very important to live poetically, as Kierkegaard says. In order to live poetically, really and thoroughly, to be able to create himself poetically, the ironist must have no an sich. In this way, irony itself lapses into that which is fighting the hardest, because an ironist comes to have a certain resemblance to an altogether commonplace person, except that the ironist has the negative freedom with which he stands poetically creating above himself. Therefore, the ironist frequently becomes nothing, because what is not true for God is true for man. Out of nothing comes nothing. I think the Christian in Kierkegaard is speaking here. But if you are only critiquing, you're just a snobbish, commonplace person, I think. And I think it's I have seen the resemblance with the Wallace essay, Unibus Plurum, where he talks about the irony and the new sincerity and why it is a bad. Spoiler alert, the commodification. what he says. He says that irony has only emergency use. Carried over time, it is the voice of the trapped who have come to enjoy their cage. This is because irony, entertaining as it is, serves an almost exclusively negative function. It is critical and destructive, a ground clearing. I find gifted irony sort of wickedly fun to listen to at parties, but I always walk away feeling like I've had several radical surgical procedures, and as for actually driving across country with a gifted ironist or sitting through a 300-page novel full of nothing but trendy sardonic exhaustion, one ends up feeling not only empty but somehow oppressed. So Wallace is talking about the commodification of irony, and that irony can be this fresh air, as Kierkegaard said, but it can become the cage, and it become the cage.
Then
yeah.
take a question.
Yeah.
What do you think about how well it seems that in Kierkegaard and and in this quote by Foster, I think it's more obvious. There is an analysis of irony in terms of gradation. Like here's a temporal one, like carried over time, which is of course an aspect of how to classify these distinctions or like differences in ironic procedures. But before, like in the very first slides that you were showing, you have this distinction of meta irony as an event and post irony as a function, if I remember well.
Yeah.
And I think, it would be interesting just to think about that, because that is not a difference in gradation, right? Like it's trying to think of like a difference in kind.
Yeah. I think it's an important note. The quantity and quality. Because we can say that Kierkegaard critiques only the absolute irony. So he's talking about the quantity. If you have some irony, it's okay. It's refreshing. But if you have an absolute irony, you destroy everything and even yourself. But I think it's interesting to understand why for him it's measured in quantity, and now we are more focusing on the quality part. But that diagram is interesting, but I don't know if we can say that this are the established terms for everybody, because this is I think the memological part of the research, where we cannot be very sure what exactly is true.
Sorry, could you repeat the last part? I didn't understand. The connection with memeology.
I think that as we are speaking about what post and meta irony are, we are within this memology, I think, memology field, something that is not that cannot be defined absolutely. We can have the opposites. We have the the absolute irony, but we don't have certain understanding of what is the definition of meta-ironic use. Like teenagers, when they say that they have 5 layers of irony when they're talking about some dumb things, they're not very descriptive about what they mean. They just like, we are very, very ironic, and this, and we are so much ironic, so that it's not only the quantity, but it's another quality. So it's the type of irony. But I think what is important here that we need to understand the irony as itself, not for now, because we will talk about the meta and post irony. What does either mean on the second session? Yeah. Also, what Wallace talks about irony. He says, most likely I think today's irony ends up saying, how very banal to ask what I mean. Anyone with a heretical goal to ask an ironist what he actually stands for ends up looking like a hysteric or a prig. And herein lies the oppressiveness of institutionalized irony, the too successful rebel, the ability to indirect or interdict the question without attending to its content is tyranny. So you cannot critique the critique, but I think it's questionable. You can, and people do, but it's futile maybe for Wallace. Yeah. Also, what he ends up with, the Wallace guy. But the harvest has been dark. The forms of our best rebellious art have become mere gesture sticks, not only sterile but perversively enslaving. So he's talking about the new sincerity, or also the new sincerity aesthetic, and how it can be commodified and used against us, and to make us dumber and compliant. Yeah, I think we need to go to the last part, and it's the last part, and maybe you have questions about Kierkegaard, or really anything to say about the Kierkegaard part. I think it's like it's interesting that Kierkegaard is not that commonly used in meme research, as I think it is the base that needed to be there for you to build something. Like I think sometime once I have tried to find some kind of literature about memes and Kierkegaard, and it was some kind theological one, but I don't think that his religious philosophy is that relevant here. I think his master thesis is more relevant. Okay, if you don't have questions, I think we may talk about the Deleuze text. Okay. As I chose a very short text by Deleuze about humor and irony and their relation to the law. So he suggested, I think the first one is not suggested, I think it's important to read, and it's maybe 12 pages or less. So in this article, Deleuze, Deleuze reconstruct a major shift in philosophical understanding of law. So both irony and law is both irony and humor is something that is defined and redefined in relation to law. And his central claim is that irony and humor are distinct modes of relating to law. Deleuze begins with what he calls the classical conception of law, whose fullest formulation he locates in Plato. Within this framework, law is neither primary nor self-grounding. It derives its authority from a higher principle, namely the good. If human beings had direct knowledge of the good, law would be unnecessary. Law exists only as a secondary representation of that higher order in a world from which the good is partially absent. At the same time, law is also justified pragmatically through its consequences. Obedience presented as best and the righteous subject obeys the law because doing so approximate the good under imperfect condition. And in his words, there is indeed a great deal of irony in the operation that seeks to trace the laws back to an absolute good as the necessary principle of their foundation. Equally, there is considerable humor in the attempt to reduce the laws to a relative best in order to persuade us that we should obey them. Thus, it appears that the notion of law is not self-sufficient unless backed by force. Ideally, it needs to rest on a higher principle as well as on consideration of its remote consequences. This may be why, according to the mysterious text in Phaedo, disciples presented at the death of Socrates could not help laughing. I think it's also important that in this dialogue, Socrates says that philosophy is milituta natu, like the teaching of death, not like it teaches death. It's not like it teaches death, but it is preparation for dying. But in this structure, irony is the movement of thought that elevates law toward its transcendent foundation, and humor is the movement that justifies law through appeal to its beneficial consequences. So we can have both directed moving. Irony in a classical sense is this upward movement by which law is referred back to this the good. But in the modern sense, irony becomes a way of subverting law by appealing to a different principle beyond the good. The others said this form we've said. And humor associated with Mazoch in its contemporary modern sense, humor subverts law from below by carrying its consequences so far that its absurdity exposed. So we can describe these two figures, Said and Mazoch, maybe more. So both of these strategies are transformed into something of transgressive nature. Said embodies irony. He does not ascend from law toward platonic good, but beyond law toward a principle opposed to it, a higher principle of evil, primary nature, or anarchic sovereignty. It's all that French transgression, if you know about what I'm talking about, the bataille and all that stuff. For said, law is not the barrier against tyranny, but is enabling condition. Tyrants emerge and flourish in the shadow of the law. Irony thus becomes a movement that transcends and nullifies law by appealing to a principle outside and against it. What we can say about the Mazoch, he by contrast exemplifies humor by observing the law with excessive rigor. He exposes its absurdity and reverses its function. Punishment is accepted first, and only then does the forbidden pleasure becomes possible. In this way, the law that prohibits desire is converted into a mechanism that ultimately authorizes it. Masochistic humor lies not in a taste for suffering, but in the logical inversion by which punishment becomes the necessary precondition of pleasure. Now I have somewhat relatable meme diagram. I don't know if it is right to say that Deleuze is a gooner. And I don't know if any of this is right. Maybe okay, Fisher has our, that's established. And Ligotti here, he's ruthless and he is a gooner. But I think maybe also right. But that's it. I don't know. Foucault is Foucault a Riesler? I don't think so. I don't know if you know all this slang and what it is used for. What is, yeah.
This is actually new to me.
Yeah.
Aura, I know.
Yeah.
Rizzler and Rizzless, I know. Gooner is new, actually.
Yeah. It's disgusting.
Oh.
Sorry.
No, fair.
Yeah, the gooner is something that wants something desperately. If we make it PC. The Riesler, it's from the charisma. So Riesler is something with a lot of charisma. Riesless, not so much. Also, this aura and gooner slang is from the Lux Maxim universe. Recently, I'm thinking about the all-encompassing, I think, colonization of Lux Maxers in online spaces. Like everything now needs to be about mugging or aura farming or something ridiculous that Lux Maxer thinks is cool. Yeah, but I think that's it. That's all I wanted to talk about. Maybe you want to discuss something if we have time for that.
Some time left, like 10 minutes.
Yeah.
I know we've kind of traveled a little bit farther from it.
Yeah.
Idea of irony in Indian philosophy, it's called this idea of karma. And karma
Mm-hmm.
is really ironic, right? Karma is something that you have to go through because of your deeds, and while going through it, you have no control over it. So since we're
Yeah.
talking about like these aspects, it was just, and we've talked so much about this cultural information traveling through memes. So karma
Mm-hmm.
has also kind of become this local yet global word that's spread
Yeah.
around so
Yeah.
heavily. So I was kind of thinking of that and thinking about how, you know, it's heavily ironic in a way of how karma hits you. Like you'd say you don't necessarily want something and you really go towards it, but you have no control over how life circumstances kind of put it in your way. And in Indian philosophy, it also comes from a very metaphysical terminology where you have these past lives that carry on the karma.
Yeah, of course.
You don't necessarily know what's coming at you. Um, so, in that way, I was thinking about all the karma memes that keep coming and arriving, and all sorts of these faces that are, these expressive faces that are attached to it that are quite funny. Um, yeah,
What karma does the meme produce? I think it's interesting to think about that.
yeah.
Or it is some kind of manifestation of karma. But I think it's interesting in different ways. It is interesting because of the. I know that karma is not about. It's kind of not about the time, but it's it may be connected to the Kierkegaard's analysis of history. Maybe like something developing. And it can be interesting to analyze in this direction, like the connection between historicity and irony, and between what does these ironic artifacts accumulate, like what karma does does it accumulate?
Yeah, it's almost like I hate to use this, but it's kind of like this monetary system of actions, right? I don't know what the right word for it would be, but it's like, how do you accumulate something in it
Yeah,
that
meme can, of course, meme can be viewed um, as the cultural capital. Yeah,
it was a
yeah,
currency also at some point, like when the NFTs bit was going on, and I actually, which was the philosopher that we saw in the 2020 and 2021 slide? I'm forgetting, but there was that particular existential book that was being referred to as the cultural capital of that time. It made
yeah.
sense to me because that time was so just, it's the COVID time and it's everybody's going through it to a level where you can't make sense of it. So then, when you can't make sense of it, and Fluxus has come and passed, what happens in that time period? So that book made sense to me in that instance, I guess. I keep
Hmm.
going back to that example of it.
Yeah, yeah. I need to. I really want to see what the book. The I was talking about Hegel, but there was acute accelerationism. Yeah.
Sorry?
The cute accelerationism.
Yes, before the
Yeah.
cute acceleration. Yes, before that one. That was 2020, 2021.
Yeah. Oh, sorry, thank you. 20, maybe, yeah. This one. Yeah?
Yes. The hyper era, yes.
Yeah, the hyper era.
And it makes sense because people were engaging with each other, and there were these, it was just time wise a very chaotic era. All celebrities were also coming together and doing these karaoke scenes, and
Yeah. Imagine all the people.
and Usher thought that he was right in the middle, but he was pointing at everybody on the right and left. So there were memes that were coming out of that particular, people trying to provide other people with hope, but not, it was becoming ironic because people were feeling more detested out of those memes. Uh, yeah, that's why I found like that period was quite ironical. That period I was thinking about a lot throughout as a reference point.
Yeah, but I think it's also interesting how we construct the history on the go. Like we want to have some kind of eras, but like 6 years passed. It's not that much, but I know that there were a lot of eras, and for even for me. But I think I don't know if I had a real problem, but I have some kind of problem with this era thing. Like, if you are talking about era, you're almost certainly talking about some kind of a very fleeting thing, and something that is like seasonal. Like, it's fast fashion, it's not era. It's fast fashion in our memes and cultural trends online.
That would
But
be
it's called
you.
era.
That would be
Yeah.
you participating in generational memology then. That
Yeah.
would be that. Because
Yeah.
talk,
Yeah, I know. Yeah.
if you were to talk to a Gen Alpha or a Gen Z, then they'd be like, oh no, but era is so individualistic, and you think about it in the way of yourself changing and that idea of
Yeah.
individuality evolving. And that's why
That's
the
the
term.
main, but I think that's the main character problem. You think that you are the main character. It's not very appealing in a lot of situation. But maybe it, self-referential, it can make sense. But nobody knows your lore if you're not some kind of a big shot. I don't know. So
But that's kind of breaking apart right now also, right? Like who gets access to be challenged. Like we are talking about Socrates, Hegel in through the eyes of Kierkegaard, because their papers were published, they were
yeah,
exchanging, kind of being able to, everybody can read everybody now because of the kind of culture. Everybody has the right to get criticized and criticize further. So
yeah,
it's so much more complex, and there are so many more of these bubbles happening that I don't know, like that term era feels okay to me because it's so loud everywhere and so complex everywhere. That if you're not,
yeah.
you know, just like
You
six
need
years,
some kind of compartmentalization for this case. Yeah, I know. Yeah.
yeah. Where would
I
you
guess
have any thoughts?
Yeah.
what you, oh, sorry, can I,
Yeah.
oh, yeah, what you were saying, well, so I don't know your name. It just says the New Center for Research Practice, but what you were, what you were saying, um, yeah, how like now everybody can write, or well, at least everybody who has access to like a digital device can produce text, images, be criticized, critique, etc. I mean, I would just say something that is obvious. I guess everybody knows it. It's just like how that also adds a level of irony, I guess, in how everybody, like, there is like a multiplication of that capability of image and text production, but it doesn't necessarily lead to a diversification of the kind of materials that are being created, or at least not in a way that is significantly like larger than it used to be, because we behave like bees. It's just like most of the internet is just exactly the same, and it's extremely boring. And of course, at some level, it has a lot to do, I guess, with how there's an explosion in the creation of content, but now, like, everything is just like shared in what, like, 4 platforms now. Like Instagram, TikTok, 4chan, and then like a few more. I don't know. Like, it would be interesting to think about how, like, if the internet hadn't been privatized in the way it was, then how would memes, how would that circulation of text and images look like if we had the kind of access to digital devices we have now, but the architecture of internet of the late 90s? Like, it's
it's interesting. I think I got 2 points, I think, here. The one point is, despite this, what is frequently called the platformization, the like techno feudalism of today, despite that, memes there is no such a thing as also obvious thoughts, but nonetheless, there's no such thing as an internet, and also there is no some kind of data center that all memes are put in. Yeah. The accumulation, the all everything that is relatable to meme culture is very chaotically dispersed in internet, I think, because it's really hard to make an archive. And speaking from the practical point of view of memes, it became it instantly become tiresome, and or if not tiresome, if you are using the LLMs, it instantly becomes algorithmic and not very enlightening. I think there are some researchers that use LLMs to analyze a lot of memes, like millions and billions, but they do not come to radical theses. They just, like, there is, I think, an Italian paper about memes, and they analyzed really a lot, and and the main thought there is memes become more complex. And I think, wow, you really needed to try to do all that to say this such a banal thing. I think it's interesting that you talk about the architecture of internet. But despite this unified architecture, memes are very elusive. That's the first part, and the second part I forgot. Sorry.
There's also it also hi, my name is Malvika Vera.
Yeah.
It it reminds me of like that idea of open source and what it used to be in terms of
Of
sound.
course.
But then that was kind of, turned into this extractive medium for,
Yeah.
artificial intelligence, which kind of made it fully devoid of what it was earlier intended to be made. The
Yeah.
visual language in them, vaporwave aesthetic. When you said, I directly went back to these old websites that had that exploratory nature of different games also sometimes, and they would be so fun because they were so personalized, where you would enter somebody else's world and kind of see
Yeah.
what it's about, rather than it continuously being designed for you, because you're not
Yeah.
taking any natural information from it that is designed by somebody else, right? So it becomes a little bit more, yeah, kind of sad, because those were, like, it's almost like going out on an expedition without having to go out on one, where you could find these different things throughout in sound film that you would never even watch probably. And now it's almost like it's designed for you, like whatever memes also you see, they're probably designed for you, like you're getting very curated
Yeah.
content, you know, that you consume on a daily basis, which is kind of sad because it doesn't allow you to break out of what it could be.
Yeah. But also, I think that's why the dark forest theory of internet is popular recently, because it suggests that there is something beyond these huge platforms and beyond this extraction mechanism, um, and that is something. The disengagement with these big platforms um, becomes the foundation for building something that is tiny, personalized, um, and not about the extraction, but about the real interests. But I don't know if it's not. I think it's too utopian and maybe not. Uh, yeah, too naive maybe for me, because the are you familiar with the dark forest theory? Yeah.
No.
I haven't
No.
read the text.
Uh,
I mean, I've heard from it, of course, but it's like,
yeah. Yeah.
well,
I don't. You
Donna
don't need
Conyer.
to. You not do not need to like read it. Because it's from this from Chinese guy, Chinese fantasy guy, and the main thing there that our compulsion, the human compulsion to talk, is something that is viewed as a flaw.
Mm-hmm.
So if you are giving some kind of signals about your existing, you are very vulnerable to the attack of something that is beyond. So the universe is something very quiet, because intelligence is not about yapping. It's about
Yeah.
silence. Yeah, but then
That
there
I have read, but I don't understand. But I don't know about like the application of it to the study of internet dynamics.
yeah, the media critics like Yansis, I don't remember the names, but I can. There is a interesting ontology, and there is a Institute of Network Culture essay about it. Very good essay. But the thing is that these media critics are applying this theory, and they are um, talking like about situation in between, when you are not silent, but you try to be quiet, and you whisper uh, not to be attacked by this extracting algorithmic machine, some kind of in that area.
Mm-hmm.
So it's not about it's not about going dark and deleting. It's not about cottage core. like touch grass and all that stuff. But it's about not but it's not about doing giving too much data to the platforms. Like I thought, not even thought. I like you know the thing that I read an article. If someone says I read an article, it means that they saw a reels or a TikTok or something like that. I really saw a reels that was saying about how deeply this extracting machine is embedded in all the trends. Like there were days ago, I think maybe weeks ago, a trend where you are saying the one phrase but in different mood. And the girl was talking about like it's an extracting machine, it's an extracting trend to say you to make you say the same a thing with different and accentuation. So to be for AI to be more perceptive of the difference here. And I thought it was very unsettling for me to understand that such a silly thing that I was enjoying like minutes ago uh, is really an extracting technique.
Yes, like with all the filters that you use on Instagram are also like, I don't know if they're designed precisely for that, but they have that function as well.
Yeah, of course.
It's like blocking any strategy or evading face recognition.
Yeah.
You know, we were talking about like this idea of kitsch in the beginning of like a kitsch aesthetic, but
Yeah.
it's kind of like normative. I don't know, normative has been used in many different contexts, but in this
Yeah.
case, when we talk about memes or specifically within
Yeah.
internet culture or how they evolve, that becomes such a normative function. But kitsch, in its essentiality, was supposed to be something that stood out, right? Something so like things that are very well
Yeah.
composed, non-abstract, and very direct, straight to the point, have room for subjectivity but not as much, would become kitsch in this context. Clean radical imagery or clean radical memes would actually become kitsch in like this sort of context where everything else is abstracted to a value where you can reach conclusions like that where it's designed to actually extract from you and designed to kind of inculcate your thought process into whatever systems that are operating at a collective.
Mm-hmm.
I
But
think
I think it's interesting. Maybe it seems obvious to me that memes are instruments for democratization of content creation, and that is why the kitsch becomes the norm because it's devoted of meaning. It's only the stylistically saturated images. And I think it's, as a philosopher and as a meme researcher, it's maybe irritating to read these edgy memes that if you try to apply any sense of logic to it, it falls apart like in a second. But it looks edgy, and a lot of people repost it and feel like they do something, like they uh, they did an act of criticizing something, but then it's like 4 pictures of random things, and it's not it's too intuitively connected, and not much thought was put in. That's the problem, I think, with the post and meta irony, and the claim that meta ironic memes are some kind of Dada approach and surrealist approach. I think it, in a nutshell, it can be true, but also it is very banal to say that. I have found presentation from 15 years ago and articles from 15 years ago talking about the surrealism and Dada, and like how brain rot copies this aesthetic, but I don't know if it's necessarily true. I don't see the foundation for this connection, and I think it's flattening the all the nuances in both phenomenon.
Why do you don't see the connection?
I don't, not that I don't see the connection, but I think it's surface level, because the processes are different, the goals are different, even the propagated ideas are different, but maybe it's all in the aesthetic, and that's why it is so frequently used. But I think there there was some kind of goals for Dada in the surrealist, but there is no goal in memes. Like, you meme, therefore you are. That's it.
That's interesting, because I guess like intuitively I would I guess I would see more connections, at least at the level of aesthetic procedures. Maybe, because like um like I get, at least in the experience of like the everyday experience of like watching memes on your phone or whatever.
Yeah. Yeah, but also
I guess it I would think it's kind of quite similar to like the very beginnings of Dada. Again, when you abstract from like the fact that you were like on fucking meta and so on, like there is a striking similarity in the procedures, and also I would say that then the way we share, create, or consume, or whatever means, is somehow even more radical than Dada and surrealism, because like very very soon Dada and surrealism and strengthened the art institutions. Like there is like this I think Hans Sitko is like a German philosopher who wrote like this Kunstwelt book. Yeah, and how I'm sure that some other authors have developed this idea, but I haven't found that many, of how contemporary art after Dada work is not just influenced by the logic of finance and monetarization, but artworks function and operate as money and as a financial asset.
Yeah.
Because the art institutions give it value in an analogous way to how central banks give meaning and value to money, to like an actual piece of paper or a credit card. And that is, and that logic of, at some level, subversive aesthetic procedures that then end up strengthening the art institutions or the institutions that are giving value to it, I think partially applies to how memes are circulate. Like you could say, of course, yeah, they do strengthen it by the logic of an economy of attention. We spend more time on given platforms and so on, but it it has it's devoid of that attitude of almost sacralization of art spaces. Like nobody like something like Instagram doesn't have the appeal or the aura of a museum or a contemporary art gallery. So yeah, I still think that it's possible. I don't know, or maybe not.
No, I think it's I think the thing is here that Dada and surrealism is in somewhat can be viewed genetically as a foundation of contemporary art and contemporary postmodern situation. That's it. That's why it may be viable, this connection. But yeah, I think it's maybe you're right, because we need about aesthetic. I was thinking that Dada and surrealists are in terms of ideas, they're very relatable and very, in some ways, abstract. But in terms of aesthetic, it intuitively, I can say maybe also that, yeah, maybe memes are surreal, but also surrealists have very distinct aesthetic that is not really copied in memes. But maybe if we understand and categorize the operation, which are you talking about? Aesthetic operations. Maybe it can make much more sense, because not.
And then maybe.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Not the aesthetic itself, and not the overly abstract and I think ephemerally contemporary message of Dada is the foundation. But if we are talking about, if we will talk about the concrete aesthetic strategies, maybe we can understand why a lot of people making this connection.
Now that I'm like listening to you, I just thought of how, yeah, I say it like I mentioned aesthetics, but I guess that I should have said like creative procedures, because then then it is possible also to make a distinction between, which has been done like hundreds of times, right? Like between the virtuosity of surrealism and the ready-made logic of Dada. And then I guess that what more than a reference to particular aesthetics, whether Dada or surrealism, I think that there is something like something in the creation of memes leads kind of not naturally, but like technically to the kind of procedures that Dada was using. Unless you have access to like very expensive AI image creation platforms, or you know to use certain softwares, your memes are just going to look a little bit like Dada, because it has, as you mentioned, like that, it has that democratic aspect that I guess that's something like hip hop or punk has. Like it's like if you're gonna create images and you're just using your phone or you're using an app, you're going to tend towards a certain kind of aesthetic that is standardized, not necessarily in the negative sense of, or maybe yes as well, of it's everything looks the same and is homogeneous, but also that just like with punk, yeah, all punk songs kind of sound the same, but it's because you don't need much knowledge, and it's also like that's also why it's nice. At least I like it. And yeah, with memes, something like that happens. I guess that is where I was making the connection with data, plus the fact that you're not, or usually how people usually behave on platforms like TikTok or Instagram, you're not sacralizing the institution that is enabling that circulation, which makes it different from contemporary. I don't know if it happens to you or other. Sorry.
No, you can finish with.
I had a really,
Ah.
I thought like what you're talking about is kind of this associative thinking, right? That goes into making memes or like that meme culture in general. And the creative procedures that you talked about earlier, they were basically like the building blocks of both Dadaism and Surrealism. So if you are thinking of, let's say, the game Exquisite Corpse, I don't know if you know about it. Basically, you fold a paper, leave the other person some clues, and you keep drawing on it. And it's associative thinking, right? Because you're playing with a whole bunch of group of people. Then the idea of using dreams as modalities of thought and using associative thinking in that way, again, a very surrealistic technique. I wonder, like in this case scenario, like meme culture can be that because it is drawing from one person's thought to another. That's why, like, making that archive is complex at the end of the day, and because it is evolving so fast and it's associative thinking. What you assume out of it, let's say, like even while listening to a punk song, we both might have like these completely different associations of that particular song, right? So it's very interesting to think of all three, Dadaism, Surrealism, and meme culture, in an associative thought kind of way, and how their evolution was so fast in time because they were abstracted, like they were actually layering different forms of knowledge. So yeah, that made your creative procedures point made a lot of sense to me. That's all I wanted to say.
Yeah.
I think we're out of time. Shall we?
I don't know. Maybe we can. If you don't have question, we can end here.
I do have a question.
Yeah. Well.
At the very beginning, when you were making the distinction between memetics and memeology, I think, and how memetics starts from a definition of meme, which is broader than the one that memeology uses. Then how do you, because like in your presentation, we've been talking about memes as, I guess it would be defined by memeology, like this, like digital units that like what everybody knows, what everybody thinks about what they hear. So how do you make that? Of course, that if memetics has a broader concept of meme, it encompasses these other definition, this more like concrete one or like a smaller one. But still, you prefer the framework of memetics. So I would be interested in how do you make then the relation of this broader framework to use it once again, like directly on this kind of digital artifact.
I think it's as I understand this, I think that I don't want to stuck in one approach. I don't want to be too generic. and I'm using Memetics, and it is relative for me because even though it is too universalist for me, it brings a lot of methodological questions that is, I think, that are, I think, important because I think we need to place these digital artifacts within a broader context. It's not that we don't need this broad context. We need it to understand how the mechanism of creating and of cultural meaning are functioning. So in that sense, I think it's relevant. And as I've already said, that I think that we need to mix all the three. So like we need this more broad cultural context, and we need these concrete approaches, and we need I thought that we need vernacular knowledge to construct something that is simultaneously academically rich, but also not not some kind of amalgam of the reality, but something that can be more can be near to the real culture. And I think, I don't know if it is a banal thing to say, but a lot of but because it can be said about any academical work, when you are too much into the language, into the structural, like institutionalized academia language, you miss the point of the joke, and you don't even a lot. Simply to say it simply, a lot of not much of meme research is using really good memes, and it's not funny. That's I think the problem is here. So we can have like too much we can have too much of this vernacular knowledge, and then we have the opposite thing, like we have guys like Babaka with that meme, like guys that want for whom books on digital occultism is the cliche. I think it's very niche to say that digital occultism is a cliche. What kind of cliche? Yeah, but so we can end up on the opposite polar side when we then when there is too much speculation, and it's speculation just for speculation, not something that like in Kierkegaard sense. Yeah. Jarina asks, can you elaborate it on the kitchen normative perspective? So can you point out in your videos on this? I think there is I can write you in a WhatsApp, maybe. Say from the top of my head, I don't remember. But I think Zontac have on the I have the Zontac have the essay on not the kitsch, the camp. But I need to think about it. And also, it's not my point. It was the point of where are you? You said your name Amelika?
Yes, Malvika.
Maldika. Oh, I'm very sorry.
No. Yeah, I can maybe compile a bunch of resources, including the meme, and email it out to all the panelists.
Yeah, that would be great.
You can do that.
Yeah, I think we really need to end here. I'm kind of tired.
Okay.
Thank you.
We meet again on the 17th then.
Yeah, thank you very much for the discussion and for the interest.
Thank you, Arina, for the session so much.
Mhm.
Bye-bye.
Yeah, you're welcome. Bye.